Yo, everybody, welcome to the Guys Podcast, Capture Media. Got my bro, my brother, my boy, Tyree Acosta, co-host. What's good? What's going on with you?
What's going on, man? Tyree here.
Talk to me, bro.
Let's just get right to it.
Yeah.
Women go on the boundaries you set as a man. So if she realizes that nothing she does provokes a reaction from you, that's what she'll continue doing because she knows she can get away with it. Well, most men think they're doing right by not saying anything or keeping quiet to not cause drama with her is being a good, understanding man. But what you're really doing is making her comfortable with disrespecting you. Once you get her snuggled up to that comfort zone of doing anything to you, saying anything to you, and degrading your manhood, you've got a serious problem on your hands at that point. Women will test you with disrespect just to see where your manhood lies. Because in her mind, if you can't exercise your masculinity with her, you damn sure can't do it with another man. As a man, I know I get it. You don't want to seem controlling. But generally, honestly, a woman can deal with a man she views as a little bit controlling way better than a man she doesn't respect. When a woman disrespects you, it's because during your first encounter with her, you opened up the doors for her to think that she has the upper hand on you and she could do as she pleases. Let me tell you something about women. No matter how innocent they may appear, one of the very first things women do when they meet you is size you up. She's reading you. And if you don't work on your confidence so you set the stage before she even considers trying to disrespect you, then only disrespect will follow. Pay attention to how she acts in certain situations and how her demeanor comes across in your presence. What is her body language like? How are her mannerisms looking? Body language with a woman is extremely important because very rarely will she tell you that she's not interested or unimpressed. Women have a way of testing you to see what they can get away with. Assert yourself as a man who will stand up for yourself and won't tolerate anything less than the utmost respect. For example, you might be able to relate. I was at the store and there was this guy at self-checkout with his phone on speaker, loud. He was telling his girl, like, I'm at the store, I'll be home in a minute. She said loud as hell, why are you at the store? You're supposed to be home. His only response was, I know, chill, I'm on my way. Beyond embarrassing. What's the problem there? He created an environment where disrespect is allowed and tolerated. A woman will not keep trying you if you assert yourself at the very first sign of disrespect. Cut that off at the onset because the more you let her get away with, the further she will push it next time until eventually disrespecting you has become the new norm and she won't even bat an eye at keeping up that trend. Because if you let her do it, she will keep doing it. So guys, nip this stuff in the bud before it even becomes a major problem for you.
Shouts out to her. That was very insightful. What do you have any opinions about that?
Definitely. I think she was 100% correct. I've always said if a woman doesn't respect you, she can't love you.
Right.
I think a woman's love for you is after her establishing that she understands that she respects you first.
100%. Have you ever encountered a situation where you let something slide and it got progressively worse in your relationships?
Definitely. And I've even heard women tell their girlfriends that I know sometimes I'm being a little bit extra over the top. I'm being inconsiderate in how I speak to him. And the fact that he didn't respectfully tell me that he's not going to tolerate that, she lost respect for him.
Right.
So when I was younger, I definitely experienced it. And as I got older, I understood.
When did you learn that as opposed to going with the flow, standing your ground was actually the better option when dealing with women?
When did I learn that?
Would you say that you knew it? Like, maybe I'm going too far ahead. Would you say that you knew that the whole time, or was there a time period where you would agree with women to appease them?
Yeah, when I was younger, when I was in my younger years, I thought by just agreeing with the woman that it would make her like you more, right?
Right.
I remember when I was I think 12. Whenever, if I had a crush on a girl, whatever she would say, I would just go along with it.
Mm-hmm. Thinking that would get you closer
to her liking me more.
Right. And then you start, when did you realize that wasn't working?
I think around, right after that. Right after that. When I was, I think around, my, 13, going into, my first year of high school, I started to understand. And because at that point, it wasn't about appeasing the woman, it was more so about being true to myself.
Right.
And it wasn't even thinking about what a woman likes or doesn't like. It's about me being true to who I am and naturally attracting the right people.
Right.
Right. So I think if you focus on doing what's right, standing on your square, being true in your foundation, women, not just women, but everybody will respect you more.
Right.
And being also too, I realized being respected is more important than being liked.
True.
Right? Because
True.
you're only as good as the last thing you do for somebody. So
Well-
you set that stage to be liked. It's like I have to keep on doing what someone else says so that they can like me. I don't care if you like me. I'd rather you respect me.
I'd rather be able to sleep at night knowing that I didn't act like a sucker. That's personally me.
Yeah.
But so we were starting off by talking about unlocking your woman, right?
That's a big. Wait, hold on. Say that again. I don't think I ever heard anybody say that.
No, but
I gotta give you credit
but
for that.
before we even go into that, because now I want to kind of tie in our other topic now, because it's funny how on camera things just kind of flourish and grow. I had one plan, but now I'm gonna deviate a little
Nah,
bit.
don't deviate, man.
No, you want to listen. Let me roll with this.
All right.
It seems to me that you said something key, and I was trying to get you to kind of expound upon it, and you kind of said it. Basically, there are things that you have to do in your relationship that are counterintuitive
So what you've been taught.
to what you've been taught by society that will actually allow you to have a better, more fruitful relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those things is not being so agreeable with your woman. A lot of men.
Hey, wait, can I stop you for just once? We always say what femininity is agreeability, is more so agreeability. Masculinity is being kind of non-agreeable.
That's not that it's being non-agreeable, because I don't want to look at it like that. So this is where I go into why. Remember this analogy I gave you? I don't know what the fuck I was on when I thought this, but it makes sense. I looked at logic as being more similar to land, right? Land, you know which way is up. Land, the laws of physics, they apply. Like, up is up, down is down. It's rigid, it's solid. And emotions tend to remind me more of like the ocean,
Yeah.
where you don't know which way is up, you don't know which way is down. You kind of do in water, but yeah, essentially you can move omnidirectionally. The idea is that emotions are
Is ambiguous, right?
ambiguous, they're very
ambiguous.
deep. The reason why I say this is that oftentimes men try to apply reason and logic to things that women do, and to the things that even they do in their interactions with women. For example, you think that being a lot more friendly and nice to a woman might cause her to be attracted to you, when really she's attracted to a man who will be more stoic and less trying to appease her. Or you might think, like the woman said in that video, that appeasing your woman when she's being disrespectful to you ultimately will smooth over the situation, not realizing that if you stood your ground and stayed in your logic and your reason, knowing that bad behavior must always be addressed, that she would actually respect you more, and ultimately you would have a better relationship overall. So,
And something deep to think about too. Say if you do stand your ground, right? Say if she does disrespect you, and you do stand your ground, but then she gives you an excuse of, oh baby, my hormones is the reason why I talk to you. So this is, I think, why you were saying that. Don't get dragged into the emotion.
yeah,
All right? Don't let her get away with disrespecting you, even though it might be that time of the month.
right.
It might be her hormones are wacky, whatever the case may be. You can still acknowledge and say, babe, I get it, right? Your hormones are a little out of whack. It might be that time of the month, but that still doesn't, right?
Absolve you.
Yeah, it doesn't negate the fact that you did disrespect me. So we have to handle that separately.
Right.
And then we can, understand and kind of cater to what you're going through. But still, disrespect will not be tolerated.
Stay within the logic. If you know what you're saying is logically sound,
Yeah.
do not get dragged into her emotional realm to try to appease her.
You see guys even get cheated on, right? Right.
And they trying to understand why she cheated
And
on
then
me.
she's cheated on. Look, she cheated on you. You confront her about cheating, and what
Right.
does she do? She cries about it, baby. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. You didn't spend time with me. It's been a lot on my back. I don't get your attention anymore. Okay, we could talk about that.
Right.
But it still doesn't. Right?
Doesn't negate the decision you chose to make.
And that would be getting sucked into
Her emotional
emotions.
realm. You're
Yeah.
letting her dominate you. The thing is that God didn't make men, whatever you believe in. I don't want to just say God, the divine creator, whatever. We weren't meant. Men are logical creatures. 1 + 1 is 2 in our brain when it comes to certain things. You allowing her to drag you into how she feels and deviate from the what's right and what's wrong, you will lose every time. That is not your
And then
habitat.
you also have to ask, why is she with you? Women say they want a strong man, a man that has self control. Those are the things that she's seeking in you. And also, you can't just rely on her telling you what she wants. As a man, you have to kind of know what she wants, right? I've heard women say so many times, I want something to eat, but I don't know what I want to eat. She's looking for sometimes a man to come in and say, okay, I planned this, I made arrangements for that. Be ready at 7 o'clock. Wear this black dress. Reservations are set 7 o'clock. I'm picking you up. Be on time.
Right.
Right. So that's masculinity. That's making a decision. Right. That's being calm, cool, and collected, leading the way. So being a leader is not just in the traditional sense of telling someone what to do, but it's also making suggestions for the both of you as far as just like planning a date. That shows good leadership qualities. Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think leadership as a whole is just taking into account
I mean, that's just like that small account. I'm just saying.
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know,
And it's small things like that. I mean, I've heard women complain about men who don't plan dates
Yeah.
because it makes them feel like
on dating profiles, what do you see? I'm looking for, I fixed this. I handled it.
right,
Flights are booked, right?
Right.
Reservations are made. Be ready. Like, that's what they said that they're looking for.
right. But then if you listen to a woman say he's too controlling, and I believe there are limits to everything. So I don't say this and everything is 100%.
Remind me to say something about the controlling thing. I'm
Yeah,
glad you
there's a
brought
lot
that
of
up.
women who say that men are controlling, but to a degree, you want a man who has some control over the situation, not in a way where it's a dictatorship, but in a way in which I have a plan, and if you comply with my plan, we will probably ultimately be better off, right? So
Especially when you pick that man, you should trust your choice, right? That you made, right? And the thing about that is, you know what's so funny? I've heard so many women say, "I want a man who's successful. I want a man who's accomplished, who's ambitious." You have to understand, men like that come with other traits that you don't mention, right? Men like that want to be in control of the situation. Men like that are looking to bring a woman into his frame, into his world, right? But if you don't want a man that's ambitious, if you don't want a man that's super confident, if you don't want a man that's very sure of himself and a man that's successful in the real world, you can date a man who is more, prone to not be stoic and logical. He's more, I would say, just whimsical.
but I don't think
And
that's
he,
realistic because most women want that in the man. So
no, but I'm saying, but we have to let them know that the kind of man that you choose, well, the kind of man you say you want, he comes with these other things too that you don't mention that you might have to get adjusted to if you want that kind of man, right? That's like saying I want to be a drug dealer, but I don't want to get in shootouts. I'm not ready to sit and take jail time. So we often say what we want, not understanding there might be some things that come along with what we say we want that we might not be able to handle. So that's why you have to paint the full picture for females. If you're dating a man that's a millionaire, that's like 2%, 3% of the population. He got there from self-determination, from discipline, being selective, being in control, right? So when you date those kind of men, they're going to be a little bit more A-type personality. They're going to be a little less agreeable. So you have to ask women, this is what you want, right? You say you want this verbally, but are you willing to accept the other things that come along with a man like that? And we're not even talking about cheating. We're not talking about him having other women, because we talked about that a lot on other podcasts, on other episodes. But are you willing to accept the other personality traits that men like that come with? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. It kind of deviates from what we're talking about, but I see what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that it doesn't deviate because the kind of men that they want stoicism, they want logical men, right? And I'm saying that's the kind of men that bring that to the table. So women have to be willing to accept the other part. How does it deviate?
Because we're simply just talking about, because that's a topic, but we're just simply talking about not allowing your logic or reasoning to be skewed by how you feel about your woman, or how you feel about not letting your logic or reason be skewed during your interactions with women.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess there's a space for what you're saying, but I really just want men to understand that sometimes you're right about something, right? And sometimes you need to just stand on that regardless of how you feel, regardless if she's crying and kicking and screaming and being disrespectful. Stand your ground. And in fact, you thinking that complying with her is going to make the relationship go smoothly is actually the opposite. You're actually making her lose respect for you when you allow her to run all over you. as plenty of girls I've watched speak about men and say, yeah, I run that relationship. They often don't respect those men. And oftentimes that defiant behavior, like she says, tends to grow. And so you thinking that you're appeasing her this one time, you're letting her slip this one time, it's just this, or it's just that. Next thing you know, and then you're doing that, why? Because you think logically, if I'm less abrasive, if I'm less combative towards her, then the relationship should go smoother. No, you're applying logic to emotions again. She's gonna feel stronger for you when you do what you're supposed to do as a man.
And you have to bring her into your logic too, so that she can understand what you're saying.
Right. And right. I think that I love this analogy because I think a good man understands how to traverse the ocean too, but you're never going to understand its depths. Mm-hmm. You know how to kind of, because you can't, when you're dealing with a woman, the best way to get a woman to listen to you is to first understand where she's coming from.
Validate her feelings. Right?
Validate her feelings. If you're arguing and she's saying something, you can validate her feelings and then you can hit her with the medicine of truth. You have to understand.
When you say truth, you have to give the truth with the candy, right? The truth.
Yeah, you got to put a little honey in the medicine. The truth. Like, listen, I understand that you were upset, and that might be why you made the choices you made, but those choices were still wrong. And I'm not going to allow you to defend your actions with how you were feeling at the time, because I am not allowed to do that as a man in my life. I can't say that I stabbed him because I felt disrespected. I can't say that I did this because I felt this way, because there's real life consequences. So I expect you, especially if you want to be a part of my life, to play fair.
And what are the consequences? Let's talk about a lot of men not being able to walk away.
Right.
That's another thing too.
Jail, not walk away. You can lose your livelihood. There's real life consequences to disrespect. And of course, I'm not going to implement those things on you, but I will walk away. Mm-hmm. It really just goes back to, I want men to stop trying to coddle to women to keep them.
I like that. Stop coddling to women to keep them.
Right.
I like that.
Stand on your square, and if she walks away, she walks away. But do not leave logic. Don't leave the land of logic to swim in the ocean of emotion thinking you're going to keep this woman.
Don't swim in the ocean of emotion. I like that. You might have to like.
That's bars. That's bars. Yeah, that's like bars.
That. You might have to get a T-shirt.
That's bars. But
facts.
That's just that's pretty much it. Like, and
but hold on. But I want to talk about also too the ultimate, right? What is your ultimate decision after you've been disrespected and it continues, right? I think what really gives a man the most power within a relationship is being able to walk away when you're not respected, when your standards are not met. A lot of men might correct the woman, but stay.
Right.
I think the ultimate way to let her know that you're not going to tolerate it is not yelling at her, is not putting your hands on her. Fellas, never put your hands on a woman. Never raise your voice. Let your actions, right, speak for you. When she understands she doesn't have access to you anymore, she doesn't have that protection, that guidance, that stability. She doesn't have that generosity of providing financially. Take that away from her. And I think that's louder than anything that you can say to her. Your actions has to speak. So, and then also I think that you'll be ahead of the majority of men, because most men can't leave, right? Even though they've been disrespected, some men have even been cheated on and continue to stay.
Right.
And the respect is going down day by day. So the fact that you might be let's talk about that. You might be the first guy in her life that ever said, you know what? I'm out of here. And stand on that shit.
Right.
That's something that a lot, especially if she's pretty, especially if she's attractive, and you walk away and let her know that, like, you know.
Even that's funny, because even in just casual dating, like when you get in front of a pretty woman, most times she's been told everything she wants to hear and been agreed with so much,
even if it was wrong,
so much so that you just simply being man enough to say, "What? Explain yourself. I don't think that's correct," will be enough to be interesting and attractive. Because so many men are trying so hard, counterintuitively, to appease a woman or agree with a woman to attract her, where she actually wants the man who's going to challenge her. See, men don't like to be challenged, right? As far as when I come home from work, I don't want to be in a combative, and most women either, but men don't like to be challenged. Women like men who challenge them to a degree, who don't let the bullshit that they do fly. A woman, I've heard women say this, and I don't really like the idea of saying it like this, but women say, I like a man who can put me in my place, right?
I've heard women say that.
I've heard it, and for every woman, that can be something different. There's some women
And we don't. And when I think of
put it into place, I think
mean,
it's standing on your logical square. If you know that what you're saying is divinely, righteously true, don't allow her to sweep you into the emotion ocean. That's just all it is.
I mean, you can cater to a
You should
woman's.
understand.
Yeah, you can
always,
cater.
that's why I said. I always say a good masculine man isn't 100% masculine. He probably is like 95, because I think you should have a ability to understand how women are feeling, so that you can use that to speak to them better. You know what I'm saying? As far as if you are coming, like, there's times where I've seen men think that being a hard ass on a woman is going to get her to listen to you. When you realize that as long as
you're pushing her away.
Yeah, as long as what you're saying is fundamentally true, you don't have to yell. I can speak to you at this volume right here and tell you that what I'm saying is correct and what you're saying is wrong. And a woman will respect that more. A woman will respect a man who's socially calibrated enough to say, I see why you feel that way, but you still need to look at it from this perspective.
And can articulate himself.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's another thing.
And men, it's unfortunate. A lot of men are raised in a house with no father, so they don't understand how to handle things in a masculine way.
Or some men, or even if some men think that the extreme is going to, like, I don't know if it's out of anger or what, but the extreme of being a hard ass. Like, I've seen a lot of red pill content where they're going back and forth with women, just yelling at them at this point. And no matter how true what you're saying is, because you got swept into emotions, your logic no longer holds and it's no longer sound.
And it's not about just also what is the goal? It's not just about telling the truth to your woman. It's also about her understanding and her receiving it the right way.
Ultimately, we as humans want relationships, and you want your woman to work with you as opposed to not hear you. So yes, it might seem cool to yell at your woman and try to dominate her and get emotional like she's getting emotional, but that's not your job as a stoic man. Your job is to be a thermostat, not a thermometer. So you set the temperature. You keep it at this volume. You keep it at this energy. You don't allow yourself to get dragged into that. Emotion is not just also appeasing her. It's also when you allow her to make you so angry that you act out of character. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many levels to this that I've seen a lot of men go through. Like, even I, when I was younger, I would think, oh, she's disrespectful and petty to me. I'm going to retaliate and be this and sort of way. That's not the answer. Mm-hmm. The answer is to disengage. Stoicism, it's about keeping that, it's about doing, not getting swept into your emotions, really. If you know you're right, you're right.
And then also, too, being silent. Sometimes being silent and speaking at the right time is very beneficial, too.
I mean, that's like a psychological thing, too. It's like,
no, but what I mean is, like, let her get her emotions out.
Right.
And then say, hey, we'll talk about this at a later time. But right now, I'm going to alleviate my presence right now. And then when you're ready to speak, then we can speak in a calm, cool, and collected, respectable way.
You know, it's funny. Oftentimes when you put a woman in her place and she comes back later, right, for whatever put in her place means for you guys or whatever, I always notice that, one, they tend to be happier. Like, you know, like, they're almost happy that you stood on your square, and they always come back.
They appreciate you more.
And they always come back and admit, I was tripping, baby. I was bugging out. I was a little emotional. This, and that. So I know it might seem difficult to hold and stand on your square, but I think as long as what you're saying is true and it's not disrespectful in any way.
On the greatest scale, too, Ty, when you look at in the media, when a woman comes to media, well, when she's presented herself to the media and she says certain things, the world just believes her, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. Instead of looking at the facts, we get sucked into what she's saying and not understanding there's two sides.
Well, there's two sides to that, right?
Yeah.
Because the other side is, there's times where we don't believe women. So I believe every...
No, what I'm saying is, right, no one should just be believed, whether it's a man or a
everything
woman.
Should be investigated.
No, but what I'm saying is that sometimes when we see situations where women they cry, we automatically believe them. Right. That's getting sucked into emotions.
Right.
Without understanding all the facts, understanding what all the parties involved, what they were, involved in and things of that nature. I'm just saying that we have to apply this to not just relationships, but just to the world in general. Right. And I think that if we apply it to the world in general, I think that the world would be more respected. Right. If something is good for one area, it might be good to look at it.
Yeah, I think it brings us. This is all about just staying in the land of logic. This is where you thrive, And that's really
So let me ask you a question. When a man is dealing with a female, everything has a limit, right? So what is too emotional? Like if you're a man and you know that, you expect your women to be emotional because women are led mostly by their emotions. It's not about what you say, it's how what you said makes them feel. Right? So it's like when do you say to yourself, you know what? This might not be the kind of relationship I want to stay in because she's too emotional. Like instead of talking about something at home, she might throw a fit in the street, hit you, put her hands on you, beat you up.
Oh well, that's already non-acceptable. That's not acceptable right there. If it's a detriment to your life, first and foremost, cut it out. So if she's doing something, if she's like a loud individual and you're a corporate man, and she's not going to fit into your image, I think you obviously know that's not for you. But
What if she's crying? But what if she's crying all the time, baby, and like just sobbing all the time because she's emotional? Is that too much?
What do you mean? Well, you say sobbing all the time.
Like
maybe
if she's like, if
something
everything is like, she's making a big deal out of everything, and she utilizes like tears to make her point stronger.
Well, you have to analyze that by case basis. I would say in that situation, I would look at her habits and what is it that she's crying for, because I mean it could be a legitimate reason, but if she's not manipulating me, I don't mind my woman being emotional. I think when you in a relationship in those such scenarios is when your leadership, when she no longer adheres to your leadership, right? Mm-hmm. When it's like what I say doesn't matter, or like we have to go back and forth on things that we shouldn't have to go back and forth on. When the respect ultimately is lost. If I'm supposed to be your provider and protector, your leader, and you question everything I say, then perhaps I'm not the leader for you. That might not be bad on me. It's not necessarily bad on you. But clearly, you don't trust my leadership. If you're driving a car and you allow the backseat driver to tell you where to go, and you crash, it's still going to be your fault. You know what I'm saying? So you don't necessarily. So I say that to say that you don't let someone who's not in charge of the relationship read the relationship. If it's already known that we as men are the leaders of the relationship, her input in it is important and you can listen, but ultimately you steer the ship. And so if she's doing things that go against where you're headed and where you're traveling, then you let her get in another car. So when she no longer, like if she does something out of whack and you correct her, mm-hmm. and she doesn't do it again, or at least doesn't do it frequently, I think you can stay with that woman. I think if she's adhering to your leadership, because I think to every degree, a woman needs some sort of correction every now and again. I think even the most loving, caring woman every now and again might get out of pocket. She said it. They shit test you. And so there's going to be some corrective actions needed every now and again, whether it's just a discussion or whether it's like maybe you got to go back and forth a little bit. But when she no longer adheres to your leadership, when your word no longer matters, when you tell her, listen, like I had an example where I was dealing with a girl and she would call me while I was working and stress me out with things. And I had to let her know that you can't call me when I'm at work to stress me out about things that are like this, because first of all, you're affecting my money, you're affecting my mental while I'm at work. And I was very calm and respectful about it, but I was just letting her know, like, listen, that's not okay. And she had a whole bunch of reasons on why because you didn't do this, or because I said, no matter what you say, even though what you're saying might have some validity to it, and we could have talked about that at another time, you do not call me at work to stress me out while I'm at work making money that ultimately benefits both of us, because you benefit from my money as well. That's selfish. And if she was to continue to have done that, I would have left. Because now you're not listening to my leadership, my guidance, and I'm telling you something that's not hurtful, beneficial to both of us, and you didn't hear me. That's when I would say that's okay to leave.
It's inopportune time, right? It's like not the fact that she brought something up, it's the timing.
Yeah, but it was more so like even no matter what. That's just an example. What I'm saying is she listened to corrective action. Mm-hmm. And that allowed me to say, okay, this is someone that I can work with. So when you say how far is too far, and how emotional is too emotional, women get pretty emotional, bro. Mm-hmm. A woman that loves you, I don't think is not emotional, bro.
Of course.
But what I'm saying is,
I would argue if a woman is in her logic with you, she doesn't love you, right? So if a woman is emotional, it's okay. You accept that because you know that she loves you.
That's how nature made her.
Exactly.
So I don't. don't really fault women for being emotional. I fault them for
It's guiding her through her emotions.
Yeah, and she's willing to listen to you as you guide her through the storm of her emotions.
Yep.
You guide her back to the land of logic.
And you do that, and she'll, listen to you if she respects you, if she knows that, the things that you've been suggesting has been, have been successful in panning out. I think that she would, listen to you, especially if you know the kind of man that you are, and you haven't been wrong in the past, and you know that you've been doing the right thing for the foundation of the relationship, and she's just choosing not to listen to you just for the sake of not listening to you.
100,000%.
Yeah.
But again, this is the Guys Podcast. Thank you for having us today. We just like to sometimes ponder weird questions and things like that. But we out of here.
Later, the Guys Podcast, Capture Media. We out.
We out.